I've seen quite a few videos of it today, just announced today. Uh,
Yeah.
9 minute presentation. Which side note, am I the only one who thinks that Mark Cerny kind of looks like Dana Carvey and kind of sounds like Ryan Reynolds?
Oh,
Or is that just
100% looks
me?
like Dana Carvey for sure. He looks like Dana Carvey pretending to be like a Sony employee. Yeah.
So
Also, on an even more of a side note, I don't think he's the person who should be like revealing the new console. Like I just don't think
Not enough
the
hype.
whole like he's the technical guy, and that was just. Is there any way to get people like more flaccid than to bring in the technical specs guy who talks about percentages and CPU power, and we're just like, show us the games, man. Do the games look better or not? Yeah, weird choice. This whole situation is just not good. Not good. No bueno.
Not a good look.
So I took some notes from a few videos that I saw that did have more information about this PS5 Pro, and I don't think this information would justify the price tag of 699.99. Um, Number one, it does have a 2 TB SSD rather than the 1 TB from the Slim.
Hmm.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
it's supposed to have Wi-Fi 7, which I don't even know how recent that is and who has Wi-Fi 7 in their homes. Pre-orders are opening September 26th for the November 7 release. And essentially what it comes down to is if you already have a PS5, you're not going to get that much jump in performance with the Pro. And people are saying with the price of the Pro, you're better off spending a bit more money to get a PC build. Um, I'm not a big fan of PC gaming, but I would have to agree with that statement
Yeah.
because what the main selling point of the Pro is getting 60 frames per second on your fidelity mode as well as your performance mode, just having the better visuals. And people like me, I use a gaming monitor. It already helps with the performance anyway. I also have an eye condition, so I'm not going to see the big difference anyway. But also, when they say, "Oh, we're gonna add more or actually add ray tracing to Gran Turismo," I'm not gonna notice that when I'm racing in Gran Turismo. I'm gonna focus on the road so I don't crash and lose the race. Um, it is for those hardcore spec people, the hardcore, you know, people who care about the technical aspect of it. But if you already have a PS5 or you're waiting for to buy a PS5, just buy the base model over the Pro. And I want to say as we go into this conversation, with the PS5 Pro having its whether you want to say limitations or improvements, I want to say there's three main points of blame on why the console generation is the way it is from and especially why the PS5 Pro is a thing. And those points of blame would be from least to most is developers, PlayStation themselves, and then Microsoft, Xbox, as well. And I'll get into that each one. Developers were mainly the main reason of why the Pro exists. They wanted PlayStation to make a newer console that has the capabilities for more graphics and more performance. But the PS5 can already do great performance and great, graphics. The problem was developing games for PS4 and PS5 that was holding the PS5 games back from reaching their full potential. You look at games like Horizon Forbidden West, the DLC was exclusive to PS5 because they couldn't do things in the DLC on the PS4 that they could do on the PS5, such as improved graphics, improved performance, allowing higher height that you can reach on the flying bird thing, and going underwater with the flying bird thing and other, improvements as well. That's why it was exclusive to PS5. Games like God of War Ragnarok was on PS4 and PS5. They probably could have done a lot more with Ragnarok if they only put it on PS5 and not PS4. So that's kind of holding the whole console thing back with the first party games. If I'm not mistaken, either half of the PlayStation exclusives or more than half were released on PS4 and PS5, and we're just now getting the games only on PS5. Before I continue, any agreement or disagreement there?
Yeah, I mean the releasing a lot of these games on an 8-year-old console, because we have to remember they're not just releasing them on like, oh, they only work on the PS4 Pro. They are releasing these games to work on the original PS4 that sounds like it's gonna fucking blast into outer space whenever you turn it on. Like
Which,
that's the console
which I
that
want
these
to
games have.
add. It's like even X Microsoft isn't going all about doing that. There's backwards compatibility for sure, but they're not even making attempts to put any new games on the last Xbox rendition. So
But
for
they have a weirder issue where like They're
You're right.
man they for whatever reason have a mandate about like you can't put the game on Series X if it can't run on Series S,
Right.
which
And
is
that was
just
my next point I was
I
going to
don't
get into
understand that,
at some
but
point. Because with the releasing the games on the base model PS4, um I understand the side of it of people are not buying the PS5. Maybe they can't afford the PS5, but also maybe there's not enough inventory of the PS5. There's been much more inventory of it now
yeah.
that you can definitely get one. They do have a trade-in bonus for PlayStation. PlayStation themselves, you trade in your PS4 to them, they'll give you a little bit more money, but that's, you kind of decide which would be the best trade-in value for you wherever you go. But um it's one of those things where I get that people who can't afford the console would be missing out, but it's also harming the gaming, I guess the gaming world because we're being held back with these limitations. And then with the Xbox, that whole Series S rule, you have games like Baldur's Gate that had to be massively delayed because they couldn't put all the features into both versions of the game, and therefore the Series S version does miss out on some features. Um, and as we go forward with gaming, you're gonna see these games that are trying to come out, and what's gonna happen with Xbox? They're gonna say, "Hey, we're gonna drop the rule and have a Series S version released later on," or are they worried that if they make that rule, developers will just forget about the Series S and not make it for the Series S? Well, that kind of sucks overall. And then you also got games like Star Wars Jedi. What's the last one called? Survivor, where they
Mhm.
released on current generation and then months later they now have a previous generation game. If that's the route they want to go down the road, yeah, it sucks for you if you have an older console, you have to wait a bit longer to get it, but
Yeah.
you're potentially allowing the games to run at their best performance for those who have the newer consoles and still say, look, we know you're going to be delayed on the last gen, but you're still going to get it at some point.
I wanna kind of bring this back to the PS5 Pro because I feel like one of the overwhelming points that I have seen, rightfully so, is the price tag. And so I'm just generally curious, how much could they have launched this for where you would say, okay, I'm gonna go for it without the price being like, oh my God. Because like I remember the first time like Apple or Samsung or whoever introduced like $1,000 phone, like the top best, maxed out storage,
Hmm.
best screen resolute. Like I remember the when one of those companies announced that it was gonna be $1,000. People were like, holy fucking shit. For a cell phone, that's insane.
Hmm.
And now we're just like numb to it. Like Apple announced new phones the other day, and like, yeah, they have one that starts at $1,000 and no one bats an eye. So like could 600 like at what point would the price not have been part of the complaints?
I would say 600 might have been more reasonable for a couple
Yeah.
of reasons. Number one, you're only going to get, as Mark Cerny says in his presentation, I think 45% of a difference.
Yeah.
And then you look at the PlayStation VR 2 that was 550 before tax, more than the PS5 itself,
Christ.
which is, insane because there's not that many games that you want to play on VR anyway. But
Who's making these decisions?
what's crazy is
Who's in these meetings?
when they dropped the price of it, they saw, I think it was like a 200% sales
Yeah.
boost. And
Yeah.
then I told my brothers you should go get one. By the time they saw me with one, by the time they came over and played with mine, the price went back up to full price. I was like, what the hell are you guys doing? Why you put it
Yeah.
back up in full price?
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. So 600 would have been, I guess, more understanding. But then you also consider no disk drive. It's a digital
Right.
console. You got to buy the disk drive separately. You got to buy the vertical stand separately. And one of the biggest points I've seen is this is the console meant for GTA 6. So are we basing all of our new releases on GTA 6? Is
I mean,
Rockstar bullying everyone?
I have to get this out of the way right now because the thing that's been bothering me the most about all of this is that I feel like there is now a tax on people that buy physical games.
Oh
Because
yeah. Right.
if you were like I committed at the beginning of this new console generation, I was like, you know what? I've never gotten a new console at launch. Like when all three of us were growing up, like none of our families really had
Hmm.
like money like that. So,
Hmm.
either it was like Christmas or birthday or like get really good grades and like maybe you could like get a new system like after it had come out for a little while, and was finally in a position to like jump in day one. I was like, I'm gonna do it. and I got the disc, the PS5 with the disc, $500. And, still buy a lot of games on disc. Just enjoy having a physical collection. Have plenty of digital stuff too, but like there's certain games where I'm like, yeah, I wanna buy the physical copy. Um, the system is I've seen like some people say like, well, it's a $200 jump from the base PS5, and I'm like, well, no, technically it's a $280 jump
Hmm.
because if you bought the disc PS5, you probably bought a bunch of games on
Hmm.
physical.
Yep.
And if you buy the like day one PS5 Pro, you're locked out. You can't play those games.
Sorry, bro.
You have to buy the disc drive, which is crazy. Like that is a crazy thing to do to people that bought the most expensive version of the PS5 when it launched and are now basically you have no choice. Like if you get the PS5 Pro, you have to get the disc drive. Otherwise, you just have a shitload of physical games that you can't play on the new system that you just spent basically $800 on. Like let's not pretend taxes don't exist. Like 699.99,
Hmm.
that's basically $800. Like you throw in the disk drive, that's another 80. You throw in the stand, that's another 30. This
Yeah,
is
the
like a
stand.
$1,000
Because
console.
I don't have a setup at my desk where I can lay mine down and still have space for everything else. I have to stand mine up behind my monitor. So
Yeah.
people like me would have to buy that stand, which is
Oh,
$1,000, yeah,
dude,
roughly.
like also super puzzling. Again, this is why I really want to know who's sitting in on these meetings because like they're launching the PS5 Pro, the 10-minute presentation about this super powerful, next gen console. The first thing they show is it running a PS4 game. The first thing they showed was it running Last of Us 2. Like, yeah, it was the remaster, quote unquote, that they did for
Right.
PS5. It's a PS4 game. And like, dude, this is the thing I hate the most is when companies try to gaslight me
Sure.
into like, oh, that other one you bought from us, oh, that thing's a pile of shit, man. You got to get this new one. This new one is it. This is the one you want. Like, all those games you played, those games look like fucking garbage if you're not playing them on the new console we just are trying to sell you. And I'm like, I'm looking at this presentation. I'm like, they showed Ghosts of Tsushima. I'm like, bro, what is that from like 2019? Like,
Which was also a PS4 game that got boosted to the PS5.
dude, I'm watching this presentation. I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to get into the headspace. You're pitching a brand new top of the line console. The only thing you showed are games that if majority of your or a decent chunk of your player base has already played. There were Ratchet and Clank, Final Fantasy VII, Horizon Forbidden West,
Hmm. Spider-Man.
Gran
I
Turismo,
feel like
Last of
everyone who
Us.
has a PS5 has Spider-Man. So that's another
Like
one they threw in.
Spider-Man. I'm like, first of all, like the newest game I think they might have showed was like Final Fantasy VII, and that game came out in February.
There was
I'm
two,
like,
there was one they showed, I think it was a Dynasty Warriors that hasn't been released yet, according to one video I saw. And the other one, they showed like a first-person shooter. I don't know if I'm correct, but it looked like Concord to me. And
probably.
and
That's
I was like, are you
funny.
guys showing Concord seriously?
They showed
Um,
Hogwarts Legacy.
yeah.
That
Wow.
game's like a year and a half old.
And then
I'm
they
like,
here's why I think they used Mark Cerny because he looks like Dana Carvey and this was a joke. And that's why they used him. It was just a big joke. Because
it's puzzling, man. It's
yeah.
really, but not a
Um,
single new game, not a single new game announcement. You want to like prove to people why they should upgrade.
right. Can I
And like,
sorry.
no, 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 go, because this did not feel like I felt not no nothing convinced me at all. Like they're showing the side by side, and I'm just like, you have to be joking. Like
Like
these
yeah.
side by sides, they're like, no, no, the person in the background of this cutscene looks way clearer. I'm like,
Like who
stop,
cares? How does
stop.
Spider-Man look? How does the
Dude, they're like
guy
the fucking cars in the background of Spider-Man. They look so much clearer now. I'm like, are
No
you
one gives a shit
kidding?
about that.
Are you serious?
Look,
Uh,
I want to just so bear with me guys because I
yeah,
want to go down my little my mental bullet point notes that I
cook, man, cook.
made here. For starters, as the resident Xbox boy, if they made something like this, $700 a Pro, I would not be buying this. I don't care for what they're saying. I'm going by what CNET has so far said in terms of their personal experience, going there in person, trying them out, and getting an article out there for, their reviewers and their readers, and just overall, video game enthusiasts, to preface and to get an idea. So it seems to me this is just a small upgrade. It's like it's a small upgrade to please the TV. Almost to me, it just comes off, and the way it's worded, and I was reading and seeing that is like it's meant to please the bigger TV user, which if in the past that's always been a problem. I'll say that it's true. I've played on bigger TVs, or if I tried playing on someone's TV that's way bigger, the controls, what for whatever reason, just can't. It's the frame rate, I guess, or something. It just makes the game heavier. Like moving feels funky and heavy. You have to like bump up sensitivity to like 1,000, so you can feel like you're playing at your normal rate of when you're like on a regular 30 to 40-inch TV. Right now, I'm sure everybody usually, like I know Chris, you and I have like 49-inch TVs, 50-inch basically. That's what we're working with, and I think you have like a 50-inch TV too.
I think I have a 50 something, a 54 I think, but I
Something,
use
yeah, like
my
something in the
monitor.
50s.
Yeah, I
So,
actually use a monitor to game instead of my TV.
which is, the purist in everybody knows the best way to game is on a small monitor because that's your best frame rate. You're gonna get your best
Mhm.
performances that way and viewing experience. But if you want the like a cinematic experience, is which I haven't seen in so far in the article. I might have missed it. But for the best cinematic 80K, 8K, 80-inch TV experience, the Pro is your boy. But that seems just
Mm.
excessive to me. And even if it was another system that I loved or company that I enjoyed, like say Nintendo came out with, and that and you can argue that too. Like Nintendo came out with the same shit. It was just a bit better, but it wasn't worth the $100 extra to upgrade to an OLED. But this
No,
is
no, no.
asking for $200
Well,
for
a 50
asking.
upgrade, but I get your point.
Yeah,
Well, because I have,
yeah, no, because it's what is it? It's $700. It's $500 now.
well, no, I mean the Switch, the base Switch is 300, OLED is 350.
Wasn't it 400 at launch though? I'm pretty sure it was
Was it?
400. I think
No,
it
the
was
OLED
No,
was
350, right?
350, I think.
okay. Even then, like
Yeah.
still, like come on, for 50
But
extra dollars for
but
that, save the
again,
dollars.
I gotta butt in. This is a $300 jump because we have to
Hmm.
Yeah,
compare this
of
to the
course.
digital PS5.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is not or
Right, because the
250 or
digital
whatever.
one
The digital one's like
is
450 or
399,
something.
right? Yeah, digital is 400 and some change.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's what the jump
Yeah.
is because you're getting like I understand they want the narrative of like, oh, it's $200 more than the OG PS5. But no, it's 300 more than the digital version for the same generation. Like it's an all digital console. If you
Right.
don't get the disc drive, it's a $300 upgrade. If you don't get the disc drive and you had the disc PS5, it's a downgrade
Hmm.
because now you have to spend extra and you have to buy the fucking stand. Oh man.
Right.
Uh
Well, I have
So,
a few points I wanted to butt in
well,
quickly.
hold on. Wait. So I just need to like again, like I want to keep this quick, but because I know I'm the last guy on the ladder here when it comes to Sony. And yes, like you said at the beginning, we've had experience with this for most of our lives. I had the one, I had the two. I didn't go into all the other ones, but look, as a consumer of video games and someone who is go winding back on it, like I don't really care. I'm more so for like social games. That's my social hour. I don't.
mhm.
I'm a stay-at-home guy. I'll socialize online. It's great. I do want to pick up some single player games that I need to play, like Star Wars. I think even I'm interested in the new Warhammer game for
Mhm.
Space Marines too. Seems pretty cool. It's a third person shooter. I haven't played a third person shooter in forever.
Someone's got to make a new Gears of War game if they're not going to
Sh
do it. So,
Sure. And hey, I've heard nothing but great reviews. It looks great. Graphically looks great. And I'm sure it's going to look amazing on the new PlayStation. And so it's probably not something for people like us who don't care for the upgrade. It's like again with Apple users who like cream themselves for every new iPhone because or just get the next new iPhone just because of the name. Sony has a reputation. They make great TVs, they make great soundbars, they make great devices. So, you know, it's a is it a gamble for them? Yes and no, in my opinion. But overall, like Sony is already leading in sales for all this stuff. But maybe not. I don't know how the Switch is doing compared to Sony in terms of the PlayStation 5. I just assume the PlayStation 5 is doing better sales. Xbox it beat Xbox out of the water, so it's gonna add more revenue for them. I just don't think it needed to be $700. That's my opinion. I'm sure that's what you guys have also thought because like it's so minuscule. And so I ask you guys and people out there is like who is this actually really meant for? I know I already said it kind of, but it seems to
Yeah.
be a certain demographic and people who own big TVs and want a small upgrade for $200. And then really it's just for someone who just likes to throw money away. Fine, fine. Do spend your money however you please, but realistically, as gamers are are from different come from different spectrums of life, different socioeconomic statuses, from dirt poor to I can buy a $2 million one of a kind shiny cardboard piece of cardboard. That's how our society is in this world. So I don't know what's your guys' take on it. Like overall, like is it something that it interests you? Would you trade?
Okay.
What
Oh
just
man,
happened?
we lost you and then
Yeah, man, you dipped out.
I don't know what happened. That's weird. It
All
didn't.
right.
I don't know. Anyways, it's okay. Fuck it.
Okay.
It's
All right.
like just basically, what is your
right.
guys' take? Who would you trade in your stuff, your BS, if you wanted to have this system? Is it something that truly interests you guys who have both these consoles? Um, I'm just curious, is all.
Well, I had some points that I was gonna make, and then I had to
Sure.
answer to your question on who this was for.
Okay.
Points I was making was I play on my monitor because it has 120 frames support, and the games that do run it, they have the great performance. But I also occasionally would like to play on a TV for that cinematic
Yeah,
experience.
yeah.
Like Final Fantasy Rebirth looks amazing on a TV, just with the
Mhm.
bigger size and everything. Another point I was gonna make is if the Pro said, "Hey, we're also gonna have backwards compatible for PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4." I still don't think that's justified the price. Maybe for some people would think it is, some people won't think it is, but they're not gonna do backwards compatible for that anyway.
Like disc backwards compatibility?
Yeah, which of course you
Yeah,
can't get this
I'd be down.
because
I'd be down. That'd be
um
huge.
Really?
That'd be huge.
right. And if they did it, cool. But I think the best bet is if you like they say, oh, I think this is for like if you didn't buy a PS5 and you're waiting for the Pro, now's your chance. You're better off buying a digital base PS5 first, save money, and then get the disc drive if you want it later on for those disc games that you want to play, because you'll be saving money either way compared to the Pro. But I do want to I have a question really, and it kind of relates to the Xbox idea, which is if they have games that are being optimized for the Pro, as they mentioned, games are being worked on, current and future games are going to be optimized for Pro, are they going to reach a point where they say, we cannot release games on the PS5 Pro unless it can also run on base PS5, just like the Series S and X? Is that going to be a thing or not? Because the gap is not as big as the Series S and X. And if so, that's some bullshit.
I think
Right.
the gap is not as wide. So I
Right.
don't I don't know if I could see them doing that. You know what I'm hoping? This I was thinking all day about like what is the lone positive from all of this? It's that if the PS5 Pro gets Sony to stop porting their games to PS4, is like, all right, now that we've got two PlayStation 5 versions of like different levels of power, we're not doing any more PS4 games. So if you want to play it, you want to play the new Madden or the new Assassin's Creed or whatever, it's not going to be on the old console. We're not going to tell Ubisoft to make, or EA to
So,
make an older version. Like we're putting it on the new stuff only, and that's it. Like that would be the lone positive because, like you said earlier, like I think we've lost a lot from some of these games ending up on the older consoles, just because we'll never truly know. To this day, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, it's like one of the greatest games I've ever seen in my life. Like visual,
Yeah.
it is stunning. Also runs at 4K 60. So I don't want to hear any of this fucking bullshit about like, oh, we can't run them at 4K 60. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You've
Even
already done it.
Demon
Already
Souls
seen
was a
it
launch
happen.
title, and Demon Souls launch title PS5 only looks better than some of the current PS5 games.
Yeah, I think that the side by side was a mistake
Mm.
because you're looking at them and you're just like, these look exactly the same. But to get back to Frankie's question, no, I can't see myself buying this. I would need uh I don't know, probably the full $500 back on my original PS5
Fair.
from
That's fair.
GameStop to like
Right.
be able to, because I'm factoring in the disk drive and the stand. So instantly I'm in for another basically 140, 150 on top of the $700. And like part of me did want to like take this all the way and be like, no, I'm just gonna this whole console generation, the new one comes out, I'm gonna get the new one. I'm just gonna keep upgrading and see what that experience is like. So that I could fully experience like a console generation.
You know what I
But
think?
and I'm definitely one of those people that's like I want my games to look and play the best. Like I love graphics. I'm a huge graphics person. I'm huge on frame rate. But I've also played amazing looking games on the current PS5. It's a great system. The games look phenomenal. It's ve extremely rare that I've played a game where I'm like, this doesn't look very good. Um, for like the hype of quote unquote next gen. And it's just too expensive. It's too expensive. I think they were in a tough spot because they clearly put a lot under, under the hood. And so I don't think they could charge any less than 700. But they could have included the fucking disk drive, or the stand or something. I mean, this is like Apple taking the fucking
Well,
headphones and charger out of the box.
Yeah.
It just feels very unnecessary. And I'm gonna be really interested to see what the pre-orders and sales are like. Because I think if anything, it's gonna push more people who've been waiting to just get a regular PS5
so I
because
have
they
a
look at the
thought.
Pro and they're like, well, I don't want to spend $700. Like that's fucking crazy.
I have a thought on that price tag, and this is my tinfoil hat theory. Because they also secretly raised the price of the controllers by like $5
Hmm.
or whatever. I think tinfoil hat, keep that in mind. They have the price as what it is to make back the money they lost on Concord.
Yeah, that's a tinfoil hat.
Yeah, like I said, major
Yeah.
tinfoil hat. Like, but I mean, it's just so many stupid decisions. Even with, I mentioned in the beginning the whole IP thing, which we'll probably save for another video about the IPs or whatever. But I guess the main point I want to touch back on what Chris said earlier was most of the content they showed is either like launch title games or PS4 games that got a PS5 upgrade. And it's like, how,
Well,
how much
yeah.
more you're pushing these things further than they already been pushed.
So we have
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 upgrades. 15 upgrades to value yourself at either 700 flat if you don't have a PS5, or if you just fuck it, say I'm gonna keep my PS5 and I want another $700 one, or you just hope and pray to God that you get like what, 200, $300
Mhm.
on your PlayStation 5 so you can
I
put it down and
think
pay
last
400 down.
value I looked was almost 300.
I will say
That's
also
pretty
because
good,
we
actually.
we were talking about like other um other ways that the other places this money can go, and
Mhm.
like $700 could also buy you an insanely good monitor or a really really good TV.
Yeah,
And so like
that's
this
expensive.
idea that $700 for this PS5 Pro, like Frankie said, like, okay, if you have an 80-inch 8K television, then yeah, probably $700 doesn't mean shit to you anyway. So like whatever, just give me the new thing. But like this is different than phones. You can't just go to Sony and be like, "Hey, I'm ready to trade this one in and put me on the new
Right.
$30 a month installment plan or whatever." Like will Apple just automatically upgrade your phone if you've owned it long enough or whatever it is. Like I just this super expensive console that I think is probably now also PlayStation 6, next Xbox, get ready to see $1,000 consoles. This is has me a little
Yeah.
nervous about where this is going to be taking the gaming industry, and the all digital thing is just, yeah.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
had a point I made to Chris a while back about if the PS5 Pro was going to allow for better connectivity with the PlayStation Portal, which I've said in my PlayStation Portal videos that it's really a device meant for people with a digital library over a physical library. Because if you're trying to take it on the go, you can't change your disc to play the games. But for the Pro to have better connectivity to the Portal, I feel the Portal would also need to be updated to have better performance. And it seems like they don't give a shit about the Portal because the Portal sucks anyway. Don't buy it. It's a waste of money. But if it was a situation of, oh, this is for the people with that expensive TV who can afford this, and also those who have a PlayStation Portal would now get better performance on the Portal. Okay, those people might actually buy it to get
Yeah.
that better performance. Because even Chris was telling me he now realizes the importance of a portal being, living with someone in the house, but the performance is not there, and that's why I just, it's
Yeah,
bad.
and again, it still to me feels like I was thinking back to when they announced the PS5, which I get it's a little bit different because it's a brand new console generation, so you do want to announce a bunch of launch stuff. But this is also a console launch. This is like a brand new, super powerful console launch, and all they did was say, "Oh, if you didn't play any of those other games, or I guess if you played them and you want to like go play them like over again, get this one because they'll look slightly nicer." And like to not announce any new games is just a bit of a whiff. And it's seems like the internet is collectively disappointed.